afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to the show. It's the Guna Tokes, and it's Monday, the Monday after the night before, and that night before was all about Arsenal versus Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. It ended in a disappointing 1-1 draw, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about what really went wrong for Arsenal yesterday at Stamford Bridge. But before I do that, you know what to do. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, help me grow the community. On the road to 100 subs, somewhere, got to start somewhere, and you can help me get there. So smash that like button and subscribe for me, okay? Right, let's talk about it. What happened yesterday? It was a really, really tough game, a heated derby, that's for sure, between Arsenal and Chelsea, and that first half really demonstrated that. The players were going at it, particularly the Chelsea players. They started with a lot of aggression in that game. The way they set up to have Reece James supporting in midfield was really clever from Maresca, because it gave Chelsea the opportunity to press quite high up, knowing that they had someone there to support if they lost the ball so they wouldn't get done on transition. And so it's not many teams that can press Arsenal so high, and as a result, that caused a few mistakes. It caused our players to have to play the pass a bit too early, and so the passing was a bit off in that first half, and that was a feature for the whole game for Arsenal, to be fair, which really didn't help in us trying to dominate or wrestle control in that game. To be honest, the game itself, particularly in the first half, was very stop-start, which didn't really allow any rhythm to be built, and Arsenal were a team that we need that rhythm, we need to get into that flow, and Chelsea were pretty much dictating the tempo of the game whenever the ball was in play, which wasn't for a long time. Anthony Taylor, I thought, went to his book too early. In the 4th minute, Zubimendi gets a yellow card, which, sets things up for the rest of the game. Once you give a yellow that early for what was quite soft, really, and considering where it happened on the pitch, I don't think it was necessary to give a yellow card. He could have just had a word and tried to calm things down, but that led to a flurry of yellow cards from Anthony Taylor, to be honest. Cucurella went into the book around the 10th minute, and then Mosquera went into the book not after that, and by the end of the first half, Arsenal had like 4 players on yellow cards, which affects the way you can play, because you can't play on the edge as much as you want to, because you're risking getting that second yellow, and you're having to really control the way you play, and that just wasn't conducive to the way we really wanted to dominate the game. Obviously, the red card was a big turning point in the game. Maybe it should have been more of a turning point for Arsenal. Caicedo definitely deserved to go, and that was a result of just the aggression that Chelsea were playing with, which made it difficult for us. That's for sure. But sometimes it was going over the line, and with Caicedo, certainly it did. And you thought maybe Arsenal were going to be able to get a little bit more control after that, but if anything, it made Chelsea's players play closer together, which made it quite hard to break them down, really. And for the rest of that first half, it was just really difficult to get into any rhythm for Arsenal. I think one of the factors in that is how many minutes that Arsenal players have played recently in high-level games as well. Spurs, Bayern Munich, and now against Chelsea yesterday. So that's a lot of minutes. It's a lot of mental fatigue, definitely, for the players. And Chelsea had an extra day's rest, which may not seem like a lot, but it definitely helps in recovery and getting you ready to be able to go at that intensity that Chelsea were going at in that game. So not really an excuse, but one of the reasons why the Arsenal players maybe weren't able to be as full-blooded as they can, and maybe their passing was a little bit off as a result of that. We need to freshen up the team a little bit, that's for sure. Luckily we've got some forward players coming back. Another issue was the fact that actually the Saliba injury, we found out, had only happened the day before. So it was something quite unexpected, having to have Nketiah and Mosquera play together. They had, 24 hours to figure it out. and they knew they were starting obviously from when they heard the news about Saliba, but that is hard to create a brand new centre half partnership when you're playing in a game like that against a team that are as good as Chelsea. Make no mistake, Chelsea are a good side. They've really impressed me this season. Maresca in particular, I wasn't sold on him, to be honest, even with what they did in the summer with winning the World Club Cup. I wanted to see what they did this year and how he was able to manage that Chelsea team into a strong position, which is where they are. And yesterday, they were on it. They were full-blooded into every challenge. It was a really hostile atmosphere. Stamford Bridge, the fans were loud, really loud, and making themselves known. And so all in all, Chelsea just made it a very uncomfortable evening for Arsenal, whether that be by how hard they pressed, how hard they went into the tackles, and the hostile environment that their fans created. But of course, with the extra man advantage, you would think Arsenal would be able to take advantage of that. But in the second half, it just didn't turn out that way. Obviously, conceding a goal early was not on the plan that Arteta had at halftime, obviously. And then we're on the back foot and having to play, to get into the game, and players were panicking a little bit, misplacing their passes, and it was hard to really get our passing game going or get any rhythm going. The yellow cards again affected things, changed things early on in the second half. Martinelli didn't really have a great game. It was hard for him to get into the game. He was marked out of it quite well, to be honest. He had one chance that was saved by Sanchez, but beyond that, he was really anonymous for a lot of the game, so Chelsea were able to keep our key players quiet mostly, right? And so Martinelli came off, Madueke came on, Zubimendi came off. He hadn't had the best game as well. I think he's someone who's played practically every single minute for Arsenal this season. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the game against Brentford. Could be an interesting game for Norgard to come into playing against his old side, but we'll talk about that tomorrow when I do my preview. But Zubi coming off, I was a little bit worried because he's the one who gives us control in that midfield, but with the extra man advantage, really I could, and the fact that he was on a yellow card, yeah, and he wasn't playing well, so then you've got to understand why the change was made. And in the second half, we managed to get the goal. Saka finally manages to isolate Cucurella and get a really great cross in for Marino. And I thought we would really go on to win the game. The momentum I thought would go with us, but Chelsea were really resolute. And like I said, I was really impressed with the way that they played yesterday as a team. Estevao didn't have a great game. He got into good positions and wasted a couple of chances for Chelsea, but they were threatening. And it's one of the toughest games I think we've played so far this season, definitely, especially when you consider the fact that it was against 10 men. There was a lot of loose passing from Arsenal, which honestly is quite uncharacteristic of us, especially Zubimendi. And so things just didn't flow as well as they could. And all those changes in the second half, obviously players just coming back as well. Gyökeres just coming back, Ødegaard's just coming back, and Madueke as well, even though he got a goal. These are players that are still searching for form and fitness. And in cases of Gyökeres, still and Madueke, still their place in the team. And so we weren't really able to take advantage in that second half like I hoped we would. There was one chance again, and Gyökeres goes for the follow-up, and it's well saved there by Sanchez. It was just a tough evening overall. We couldn't move the ball quickly enough. The way Chelsea defended from the midfield made us constantly have to turn back, and so we were facing our own goal, and it was hard for us to go at Chelsea, and they were really good at disrupting the rhythm of the game, and that's I think the biggest thing that affected our performance yesterday, that we allowed Chelsea to dominate the tempo a little bit. Even with 10 men, we weren't moving things as fast as we could. We weren't being as clinical enough with our passes, and so it was just a disappointing end to what was a busy week. And okay, 7 points is not the end of the world, but one of those performances where I think we could have left some more out there in terms of really trying to get that winning goal. But sometimes you have to deal with games like that. I thought Chelsea had a good game plan. They executed it really well. It was all about getting in our face. It was all about not letting us play. It was all about them controlling the rhythm, really. Like I said, that James really had a really good game in midfield as well. He knew exactly what he was doing. He was actually kind of doing their Zubimendi role. And so you've got to say fair play to Chelsea on that one and hope that we can use that as a learning curve, because ultimately we weren't at our best and we still came away with a point from Stamford Bridge. And so I guess time will tell, and at the end of the season we'll know exactly how big a point that was. But for me, what went wrong really in that game against Chelsea was our inability to move the ball quickly enough or accurately enough, due to the fact that Chelsea were really intense in their press, especially in that first half when they had 11 men. It was really hard for us to play out from that press and beat their press on us. And it was a difficult game overall. Perhaps Chelsea, if they had kept 11 men on the pitch, who knows what would have happened, but they didn't, and Caicedo deservedly sent off. And for me, I think that kind of, even though Chelsea did score, I think that stopped their ability to attack like they were in the first half, and ultimately they were always going to defend and sit a little bit deeper when they had something to defend. And they managed to do it relatively comfortably overall in the game. And we need to get over this draw. It's not the worst result in the world, but we need to freshen up the squad a little bit. I think freshen up the first 11. Now that we can do that, obviously centre half is going to kind of pick itself while the big guys are out. Saliba, Gabriel, big opportunity for Hincapié and Mosquera to develop that partnership, because if there's going to be one good thing that comes out of it, it'll be that they can develop their own partnership together, so that whenever this does happen, we're even more ready for both of them or either of them to step in as and when required. So, hey, 1 point gained at the end of the day, I think, and we're still 5 points clear. So we just need to make sure against Brentford, we move that ball a bit quicker, we're more accurate with our passing, and I think we can get the win, but I'll get into that tomorrow. So, hey, everybody, have a wonderful day, enjoy your Monday, and I'll see you next time. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, leave me a comment about what you thought about the game, where do you think things really went wrong, and I'll definitely get back to you. So, enjoy your Monday, people. Peace. Bye.